Hello, this is Miss Andrea, also known as the Homeschooled Mom. Most of my content is about homeschooling, but as no woman is a monolith, other things I do are creeping into my channel. I hope you enjoy them. But I seem to get big response on my prepping videos, and so I wanted to talk about preparing and preventing produce from spoiling. Um, if you've seen my other videos, you know I get the Misfits box every other week. My box didn't come this week. They said it was going to be late and I would get it Monday, and Monday's over and I haven't gotten it. So we'll see how well that goes. Anyway, on Saturday, I realized the box should be coming, and I realized I still had a ton of produce in my fridge. And it was starting to get a little not the freshest. So I decided to go ahead and cut it up and prepare it for the freezer. This here is squash, yellow squash, banana squash. And it is normally cooked pretty fresh. You take this, you cut it into slices, and you cook it you saute it in butter and olive oil, maybe with some onions. So I figured I could just go ahead and blanch it and put it in the freezer. And so this is the process you're seeing here. I had a very small knife and a very big banana squash. But I got it all cut up nicely into the size and shape that I prefer, and went ahead and blanched it, pot of water with a little salt, get to a rolling boil, and cook it for about a minute. That's all. And so that's what I did. I actually got a chance to cook some of the squash this weekend, and it made the process, yes, I nearly cut off my thumbnail there. It made the process way easier and faster to just pull it out, thaw a little, and throw it in the pan. So here we are with everything cooling and draining, and when that is all done, so everything's still firm but blanched. And when it's all cool and dry, then I'm going to put it into Ziploc bags and freeze it. In addition to squash, I also did potatoes and a small amount of carrots, and I sealed the bags up with my food saver, except for the carrots. I just put them in a Ziploc and put them right next to my other vegetables, right there in the door of the fridge. That worked quite nicely. So the next day, I started working on the fruit. Since I knew that more apples were coming, because I actually custom ordered my box, which hasn't come yet, I went ahead and cut up the apples I had with having a pie or some kind of apple pastry in mind. So I just peeled the apples that I had, sliced them super thin, and put them in a strainer and prepared them as if I was preparing them for an apple pie. So since we're all here and I'm going to be peeling these apples for a whole minute, let's just talk about the importance of pre-planning and pre-freezing and storing your meals, making it easier for you to get food on the table when you're homeschooling. You think that when you were homeschooling that, oh, it's just going to be such a breeze. Every morning I'm going to get up, I'm going to pull out the crock pot, I'm going to put food in it, and I'm going to cook and clean while homeschooling the children. Ha ha ha. The kids are not going to let that happen. They're going to need you more than you can imagine. They're going to want your attention more than you can imagine. If you're like most of us homeschool moms, you probably also run a business from home, and you're going to get distracted like the squirrels that we all are. So having neat little bags of vegetables and neat little bags of fruit like this make it super easy to throw things in a crock pot, and it makes it super easy to just maybe grab a bag of these pre-blanched apples, put a little butter in a pan, and let that go. Isn't that a great topping for your pancakes? So what I did is I made sure that they were in small enough servings that, would make a little applesauce. So maybe like one pie. If I wanted to do a full-size pie, I would grab 2 bags. But I just really kept portions in mind while I was storing them. While I was doing this, I also got a pot of rice. I make the rice in the Instapot, and I make large batches of rice. I knew we weren't going to finish the rice before, so I went ahead and separated the rice into 2-person servings, because even though there are 4 of us in the house, we don't all eat rice. And so if we are making rice for 4 people, we can just grab 2 bags. And if I'm making rice for 2 people, I can grab 1 bag, things like that. Just since I had the food saver out and was preparing all of these foods for the freezer, I went through the fridge to see what was good, but I knew that we weren't going to finish. And I put that stuff through the food saver and put that in storage as well. What's going on right now is I have rinsed those apples and grabbed a lemon, and I'm going to squeeze the lemon juice over the apple. That is a great way to preserve it. Please remember, I am not an expert at preparing and storing food. I'm just doing things kind of based on the way I know I cook and kind of the way my mother would do things. I considered cooking this into an applesauce, but I'm no good at canning. I considered putting sugar in it, but I'm about to start a diet. And I know diets are bad, but I have to lose over 100 pounds. So at some point you decide to do it. So I didn't want to put sugar in it. So just squeezing lemon juice into it worked the best. And so now I'm just scooping that into the food saver bag. And I think that batch of like 6 apples was enough for like maybe 1 pie. Then I just poured the rest of the lemon juice in there with it. Shook it down and took it to the food saver. And there it is, next to those plates. Rinse the board, and now I'm starting on pears and doing the same thing now. I don't cook pears often, so I had to do some research as to what I was going to do with the pears. We never got to eat any of them because they never quite got soft enough. I'm literally fighting them there, so I think they're just going to be better off cooked. And what I'm thinking is I'm going to treat them like I do pineapple and some other fruits, and maybe cook them along with some ham or something to lighten up, the salty ham dish. This will make it lighter. So I think that's what I'm going to do with it. We've never had pear pie. I don't even know if that's a thing. I even considered mixing the apples and pears at some point in the future. But, I'll just go on the internet and find a recipe and follow it if I decide not to do the pear and ham combo. And I made sure I got the slices as thin as possible, even though the pears were just still not right. Very, very, very firm, bordering on hard. So really the point of all this is that in addition to storing up food, getting 6 months of food in the house, which I think I've done effectively, I also don't want to be throwing any food away necessarily. I felt bad throwing away those peels, but I wouldn't know what to do with them. Do you? Anyway, so if food isn't going to be used, it just makes sense to, if I knew how to jar it, I would jar it. It's not called jarring, it's called canning. If I knew how to can it, I would can it. But since I have never canned anything in my life, I just decided to go ahead and freeze those items that we weren't going to use in the short term rather than letting it go bad. There have been times in my life where I would grocery shop every week, spend $150, and then the day before I grocery shopped again, the very next week, I would throw away $50 worth of food. We're just not going to do that anymore. It doesn't make sense. It's ridiculous. And we really need to learn how to not waste things. If anybody has any tips for me for someone with such a low skill level, I'm always open for help. So as any of my subscribers who have followed me for a while knows, I actually finished homeschooling my kids years ago. They're 24, they're 26, and they live at home. One has 2 degrees and one has 1 degree. As you can see there, I put lemon juice in these as well. And what am I going to do with that plum? Oh, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and eat it. So, the thing is, having foods like this, and I was much better at this when I was younger and the kids were younger. Having foods on hand in the freezer like this makes it so easy when other homeschool families are dropping by. You can just throw something in the crock pot, cook it really fast. These food saver bags, you can put them in boiling water for a couple of minutes and the food will actually cook. There's a French word for it that I can't pronounce. It sounds something like swish fever, but it's actually a way of cooking some foods like fish and things like that. But anyway, if you want it like poached pears, you could put the food saver bag of pears in a boiling pot of water and they would be done. And then you could just top it however you want. So this is just great for people who just really don't have time to cook. And when we start homeschooling, we really think that we're gonna have time to cook. And we find out real quick that that is just not the case. I labeled every bag, as you can see, with the date and what it was. I need to get some Sharpies because it was really hard to write. And then I was like, I should do the chicken too. But first, I had breakfast. And then I got out the, food saver. And FYI, y'all, chicken breast is only $2 a pound this week at Kroger, at least in the South where I live. And I hadn't seen meat at that lower price per pound, let alone chicken breast, in so long that I grabbed about 20 pounds of it. And the chicken breasts were huge. I could really only get one into each food saver bag, which honestly, even for a family of 4, if I'm making chicken tacos or something, that's all you need. If you're making chicken salad sandwiches, you only need 1 chicken breast. So they're all in single serve packages in the food saver. I can thaw them by dropping them into boiling water and then dump it into my Instapot with spices. Guys, you got to get these things. You need a food saver and you need an Instapot. The crock pot's nice, but who remembers to get the food on before 4? I mean, if you're having a potluck, I guess. So I digress. But we're almost done here. And I stored all the vegetables inside. Just you see rice and pears and stuff on the door, and I put the meat in the meat drawer at the bottom, and that's all I have. So until next time.